Welcome to another in the series, The Sip and the Chat. Welcome to another in the series, Sip and a Chat. It's a place where we talk about issues that affect you socially, emotionally, physically, or financially. Whatever those issues are, you can get them answered here at Sip and Chat. And today is by no means an exception. We intend to delve deep into a very crucial matter that is affecting young people, especially within our society and in particular our school system. So I have with me today a very distinguished guest, one who is very qualified to address this issue. And today we want to talk about this matter of bully, right? I mean, in days gone by, it was a casual term, but today we recognize that there is so much to this issue of bullying. So with me today is my esteemed guest, Miss Nordia Crawford. She is a lecturer and she's also head of the behavioral science department at the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology, my alma mater, of course. She is the author of 4 books. A lot of time there. And she has written a number of reflective journals. Books include concerning issues of depression and also 2 very significant work on the whole matter of bullying. So she comes from a place of knowledge. This is not just off the cuff, but this is real in-depth research. So welcome, Nardia. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today. And, you know, I mean, this is something that we really want to address, right? Because in days gone by, when we talked about bullying, it was just a little one boy in a community or one boy at school. But now it has become such an organized thing. We have cyberbullying, we have different types of bullying, right? So just talk to us first of all, greet our viewers, and just tell us a little bit about Nordia first, so we know who you are.
Okay, thank you very much. As you had indicated earlier, I am the head of department at the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology, and I write 4 books and 6 reflective journals. I'm a fun-loving person. I am also a Christian, of course. I love to write. I love to read. I love to have fun, as I said earlier. I'm easygoing pretty much. That's just about me.
That's a lot about you. 4 books, that's a lot. As I was saying to you, I have so many manuscripts and I'm yet to get them to that place. But Nordia, this issue of bullying, I know we use the term, some of us out of context, some of us, in context or whatever, but for the audience that's doing, tell us exactly what is bullying.
Okay, so bullying, as we know it, as the term suggests, is an aggressive behavior that someone would have towards another person. And the intention is to create an imbalance of power. So I am over you, in a sense. And the behavior is usually repeated over time, and its intention is to cause harm or hurt in the next person.
Wow. So, right, when we talk about bullying, we see that there is a power
imbalance.
Yes. And somebody has to try to show that I am
more powerful than
I am in charge. Yes. Right. That's very important. Now, Nordia, why is this urge to say I am more powerful? Where did that come from? I am in control. I'm stronger than you, and I'll take from you to prove that I'm strong. Where did that all come from?
All right. Well, there are lots of reasons for wanting to feel that way or wanting to react that way towards persons. One, sometimes persons have self-esteem issues, and so they bully others to feel better about themselves. It could be also that someone who is bullying others, that person may encounter a situation where they have been bullied in the past, and so they believe that, well, I need to bully someone in return. In some instances, the parenting style has an effect on, their behavior, in that they are, let's say, bullied at home. Right. But of course, if a child is being bullied at home, that child cannot return the response to their parents. And so you find that child is likely to go out there and bully another child. All right. Some of them, they bully others because guess what? witnessing a bullying situation and I have to participate because I don't want to be bullied in return. So it's a fear of being bullied themselves.
All right, so let us just so much was said just now, and we want to make sure persons understand, because sometimes we misinterpret what is happening. So we're seeing a bullying out of a stamp of authority to say I'm in control. We see where somebody wants to identify with someone else so that people know that, listen, don't play with me. I've got the power too. So they participate, not because they were provoked or anything, but they participate in this act. And I like what you said just now. I find it very interesting when we talk about bullying because of what is experienced at home. And so because they can't reciprocate the kind of behavior towards parent, then they decide to come out and behave in that particular way
towards a lesser threatening object or being.
Very, very, very. Wow, this is very interesting. So let me ask you this: as a counselor, from where you sit, is it possible in the initial stages then? What are some of the manifesting symptoms that we will see in the early stages of someone who is likely to be a bully?
All right, so there are a number of signs. I might not be able to go through all of them, but if you, as an adult or a parent, find that a child is always giving excuses for not wanting to go to school, oh, my tummy hurts, I don't like school, you know, something like that, then
and as far as you know, everything should
and as far as you're aware, everything is okay, then that should, you know, trigger an alarm there to say what is happening at school. Sometimes that child may become withdrawn, which is a signal of depression, because they might not be able to say, well, I'm depressed, but you see it in their behavior. That might be a sign that the person is experiencing bullying and might not know how to deal with it, might be afraid to report it. And so how they best respond is by withdrawing from friends and family. It can also lead to suicidal tendencies.
So let me see if I understand it. So somebody would have their normal child.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they hear utterances of, I want to end my life or so on.
Or they would see, you know, signs. Children cut themselves. Children try to hurt themselves because now they want that escape route to escape from what is happening to them. All right. There are other signs of persons who might be being bullied at school or wherever, and these are not limiting to bullying situations, but these are possible signs. The child might refuse to eat. The child may have a difficulty sleeping. The child may have nightmares. The child may wet themselves, soil themselves.
It's almost like they regress.
Right. So there's so many signs that we can observe in children who are bullied. Another sign I want to mention also is when they return home without their belongings. It is highly possible that those belongings are being taken by someone else at school, and so they come home without a pen, a book, or they may have visible scratches or scars on themselves, which could indicate that they were engaged in a fight or that someone was, you know, attempting to hurt them physically.
I know, you know, it's so important that the things that we take for granted. I remember there was a student, right? I was in the presence of a discussion, and the child, the assistant teacher was telling the child, the parent rather, that you know, she must talk to her son about being a little bit more assertive because she noticed that this other boy was taking his lunch. And the mother was like, what? And then the mother then recognized, as she was discussing, that she used to give him a special kind of snack. I think it was like some toasting with a little cream on it. And she noticed that even though he liked it, some Krispies, right? Rice Krispies, that even though she knew he liked it, he didn't want to take it anymore. So she was like, but that's strange because you like this thing. I usually give it to you in the past. Why is it now that you're saying you don't want it? And when the matter was delved into, it was recognized that the reason he didn't want to take those special snacks, the Rice Krispie and the toast to school, you know, was because that child was being bullied by another child for his snack.
So he wasn't able to enjoy those snacks at all.
Exactly. And then when he put up a resistance, you know, I guess he would be exposed not to any harsh beating and stuff like that from perpetrator of the bullying, but just the intimidation of saying, you know what, I don't want to encounter him today. I don't want to have a talk with him today. And I want to say to a lot of parents who are out there, I think it's time that we pause in our busyness, in our hustle and bustle, and listen to our children. Because I'm hearing you saying things like the child starts to wet their bed. They didn't used to do that. They refuse to eat. They make certain utterances. Maybe it was best if I wasn't here, and so on. So we have to listen more to our kids. And I say it all the time on this program. We used to have this old time saying children should be seen and not heard. And we have to demystify that concept, that thought, because if we silence them, then they only hurt in silence. Well, you're right there, we'll be able to help them. So I really appreciate the kind of knowledge that you're giving to us.
And if I may add to that, you mentioned listening to them. There are some children who might not be willing to speak about it, but then you want to look out for the signs that are there, you know, the cutting, the scars on their body. You might be going to school with your child and you realize that when your child reach a particular location, the child may crim up. Or if it is that, say for example, they're going to school and there are other persons, you know, en route to school, the child may act a certain way, frightened, you know, to go near to that person. So these are some signs, as you said, that, you know, they can look for in their children who is probably being bullied.
You know, bullying can affect everyone. And usually, I didn't think about it this way, but I saw this excerpt that says, bullying can affect everyone. Those who are bullied, those who bully, and those who witness the bullying. So I didn't you just see it in that way, but isn't that, talk to us a little bit about that. So the effect of bullying is not just so the person who is bullied, the person who is being the bully as an issue, the person who is being bullied is a victim, and also those who watch. So talk to us about that little dynamics that's happening there.
Okay, so in general, persons who are being bullied can develop mental health challenges. Of course, they can also develop physical challenges, because if someone slaps you in the face or kicks you in the abdomen or take a piece of stick and hit you, then we have some physical challenges right there, because we never know what can happen as a result. There are some mental health consequences, however. There are a number of mental health consequences, but just to name a few, the person can develop depression, all right, because no, this is happening. I might not be able to say anything because I'm afraid to report it. I was threatened by the bully, or I just can't learn when I'm in school. Whatever the reason, it can cause depression. It can cause some level of anxiety, because no, I have to go to school this morning and I'm going to be bullied and I don't want to go to school, right? It can cause sleep deprivation, as I said, because of the trauma as a result, the PTSD that may develop as a result. It can cause many other challenges. As I said earlier, the person may not want to eat, so a lack of appetite may be resulting from the depression, or maybe as a coping strategy, right? So it can cause that. Some persons may develop eating disorders. So they're stressed, for example. I don't know if you have ever known of situations where persons say, well, you know, when I'm stressed, I eat more, or I don't want to eat. So a similar situation. So they can develop eating disorders where they either binge eat or they might refuse to eat. There are a myriad of, mental health challenges that can develop as a result of being bullied. As it relates to the person who is bullying the next person, that person can also, experience a sense of depression, especially if that person is being forced to carry out the act. If that person is being forced to bully someone else against his or her will. So let's use you and I, for example, where
I'm the bully.
All right, let's pretend that you're being bullied by me. I'm going to bully you. And I say, go take his bag or else I'm going to punch you in the face. No, you in turn bully that person, but you're also I don't want to say victim, but you're also someone who is bullied, right?
Right.
No, you can experience depression as a result of my behavior towards you, as a result of my trying to coerce you into actually bullying the
Okay.
next person. The bystanders or the witnesses who see the act, they can develop challenges as well. For them, it might be PTSD because no, they witness
All that
this,
happened.
right, and it can linger with them and bother them. They too can be depressed because no, it could be that they have to witness their good friend being bullied,
Right.
and they can't do anything about
And
it.
I'm also thinking that they could be saying to themselves as well, will I be next?
Yes,
Will I be
right. So
next?
anxiety can
Right,
surface as a result of
and
that.
so if you see the person walking this way, or you're going to the pool, or to the pipe at school or something, you turn that over.
Yes.
Even to the bathroom.
Yes,
Because
yes.
it's a closed area.
Yes.
You don't want to get trapped in there with that
Mhm.
person that have that kind of personality.
Mhm,
So you
mhm.
might avoid doing certain things because you're trying to escape. And no, Nordia, that a lot of us are familiar with just saying the term bully, but there are different types of bullying. Am I correct?
Yes.
So can you talk to us about the different types?
Okay, so there are different types. Some of which I would have alluded to without saying this is a type of bullying.
Right.
So we have the physical bullying.
Mhm.
So that involves the slapping, the kicking, we call it the boxing or thumping or whatever we want to refer to it.
Mhm.
Anything that happens to you physically in that sense, that's physical bullying. Then there is the social bullying. Some persons may refer to it as the emotional bullying, where, say, for example, you and I and two other persons are to engage in an activity for a homework or for a piece of assignment.
Okay.
And so I'm the bully, as we had established earlier.
Right.
And I want to bully you.
Right.
And so maybe what I would do is when we're having the group meeting, I do not include you in that meeting.
Right.
I invite everyone else and I leave you off that email list.
Deliberately.
So deliberately.
Or you could all lock me out the group.
I lock you out the group, definitely.
Yes.
So it's exclusion. That is another type of bullying. Then there's a cyberbullying, which I think we all know about that,
Right.
where you're online and persons are harassing you, persons are saying mean things to you, persons are threatening you, and that. Then there is the verbal bullying. How can I forget that one?
Mm-hmm.
Where persons would hurl mean things towards that person, and they would try to cover them down with words.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that people say that sticks and stones will break my bone, but words cannot harm me.
It does hurt. They
now
do
we know
hurt,
that
yes.
when you say things, man,
Mm-hmm.
bet somebody say, better you had taken something and hit me, because those words are so piercing and so powerful. As we think about bullying and we look at the different types of bullying, what kind of intervention from your clinical perspective, how do we intervene to assist kids who are being exposed at the two spectrum? Because we're concerned about the bullied and we're concerned about the person who's doing the bullying. How do we assist people?
Well, being that I'm a counselor, of course, I want to say counseling, right? So provide mental health support or psychological care and support to those persons to address whatever issues that are surfaced as a result. So if the individual being bullied develop a self-esteem issue, then that definitely needs to be addressed. Or we may need to teach that person assertiveness skills. And in counseling, there is an approach called psychoeducation where we teach person about what is happening and empowerment skills, right? So I would say counseling is one. There are other ways, so the person can be provided with a sense of support from parents and friends and of course caregivers, where they could have that person or bring that person to feel loved and accepted, because sometimes when persons are encountering bullying, they may feel
it's a matter of acting out.
Yes, right. So family and friends can give that person support. If it is that the person is a talker and want to just talk about what is happening, give that listening ear, right? We talk about forgiveness, encourage a person to forgive so we don't harbor that resentment, inside. And so those are some of the ways we can address.
Intervene.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, as you're talking, something came to mind. Is there ever a scenario, right, where the bullied is converted to a bully? Meaning that
Yes, yes,
okay.
it can happen. It can happen, definitely. A lot of persons who are now bullying others were persons who encountered bullying themselves.
Okay.
Because sometimes they develop psychological disorders that would bring them to bullying others. All right, so they
Okay.
develop that personality disorder, and it lead them to bullying others. But yes, it can happen.
Have you ever been bullied?
Well, when I was in primary school, I think I was. Maybe just one girl who was like, just push me, but it wasn't a thing where it was constant or it follows me throughout. It probably would have happened maybe a one or two time, but back then maybe would have been different from now,
Right.
But yes, I think I would
But
say I'd experienced
I
it.
was bullied. I was bullied. But and I want to share my scenario with you, having been bullied.
Yes.
This and in this case it was so weird because I was a little petite, but there was the person who bullied me. Two persons bullied me. One was a little bit smaller, shorter than I was,
Wow.
and one was taller than I was. And it was about taking away my lunch money. And I was so intimidated that when my parent was told that, because there was a girl in my community who actually saw what was happening to me and reported the matter to my mom. And can you believe it that and that is probably something that kids do as well. When my mom was told that I was being bullied, I actually told my mom that it wasn't true.
Yes, because of that fear.
I was so afraid. I mean, how was I supposed to go back to school?
Yes.
And this girl was going to give me a proper beating.
Yes.
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 I mean, it was so I prayed so hard that I would pass my common entrance. Meaning, it wasn't
Yes.
it was about going to a school that was so far away
Yes,
from
from
this
her.
girl.
Yes.
I remember her to this day, and as I know what it felt like, even back then to be intimidated by someone. But talk to us a little bit about the tools and where they're available. I know you have two lovely books. One is Enough of the Bullying, which is a prevention and self-help strategy for adults.
Yes.
And then you also have this other one, Enough of the Bullying. Talk to us about these books and why, even as counselors, church, caregivers, school, why we should have one of these books in our closet.
Okay, so all right. So just want to say here that bullying is not limited to children. Adults do bully other adults, right? So that's the reason for this other book.
Right.
Because these books have in them information as it relates to what is bullying. So it defines bullying. It talks about the different types. It goes into the names that you don't call persons who bully others, right? It also
like what are those names?
Well, you really don't say the bully, right?
Oh, okay.
Because you don't want to reinforce the behavior by saying the bully. All right. So I try to remember to say the child who bully others or the person who encountered bullying. So instead of saying the victim, I would say the person who encountered bullying or the survivor. All right.
Okay, interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
Yes. The roles youth plays in bullying, So, for example, some persons are those ones who lead other persons on. They cheer them on as they're doing it. Yeah, right. The roles they play. And there are strategies for parents, strategies for schools, and strategies also for the person who is being bullied themselves. And it also explains risk factors. And we would have shared some of those earlier. It also talks about why people bully, why someone else bully others. And as I said, it has strategies. It also has some fun activities because, the book caters to adolescents. And so, at the end of this wonderful read, they may want to do word search. They may want to do unscramble. They may want to do matching. They may want to do art and craft, or they may want to build their own puzzle. So, yes, it has fun resources in them.
So everybody should definitely get one of these books, very, very resourceful to have them with. If you interact with kids, you're a school, we need to definitely, I think church is such a good place to have these books as well, because it is in church oftentimes that we're able to identify some of these things. One of the things that we learned though, Nordia, is a very common rhetoric that we hear people bantering about, that hurt people.
Yes.
How does that speak to the matter of bullying?
Well, an individual who was bullied may develop anger and resentment as a result.
Mm-hmm.
And that anger and resentment not being resolved can lead to something else or can develop into something else. And that may cause the person to want to bully someone else. So the person can carry their anger into adulthood if it's a child who is being bullied, or if it's an adult, the person can harbor that anger and resentment, and subconsciously that person in turn bullied others because that's what the person knew. And because the person feel the need to reciprocate that behavior towards someone else.
Boy, this program is so informative because sometimes there's some major issues that we just say, oh, he was bullied, and we're not thinking of the psychological impact
yes.
that it has, not just on the person, but we don't even understand what that person who is the bully, right? The person who is acting in a way that intimidates other people. I always remember as a counselor that there are certain terms we don't use. We want to reinforce and support and nurture the behavior. But it is so important to get an appreciation of what is happening in the space and how best can we. Is there anything else, Nordia, that you want to share with us before we wrap up that you think is really, we looked at the symptom, we look at the mental health issue, which is a big thing, because everybody's cough at mental health until it reaches their door, or until they are a victim as well of this whole matter of mental health. But what we're saying is that there is redemption for the bully, right?
Yes.
And CGST is somewhere you'd recommend.
Oh yes.
So talk to us about what is CGST and what CGST offers.
So CGST, thank you. CGST is short for Caribbean Graduate School of Theology. I was a student there, and I'm also employed there, as indicated earlier. We offer 2 programs currently, a Master of Arts in Counseling Psychology, and we offer a Master of Arts in Theological Studies.
Okay.
CGST also operates a counseling center known as the CGST Counseling Center. And for someone who is being bullied, that person can reach out to the center and see.
You know the number for the center? Can you share with us?
Oh yes, the number. Let me just get this. So the number for the director is 832-2898, and that's Miss Level. She is the director for the center.
Right, and that's one I think that's very important, Nordia, because a lot of times people, whether it be for bullying, whatever the issues are, people don't appreciate counseling. I mean, I remember the first time when I was in my practicum, I had a client, and the client was a young girl, but her mother brought her into me, and the mother said, "Are you a shrink?" She said to me, "Are you a shrink?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." Because I kind of picked up where she was going, because she said her daughter said she didn't want to go to a shrink. And as far as she knew, she was bringing her to see the psychologist. But as we close up, Nordia, help persons out there to appreciate why, even as it relates to bullying, whatever it is, why professional help, such as trained counselors, are important in intervening situations to bring a better outcome.
Okay. Well, when someone encounters a counseling situation, or when someone reaches out to a counselor, yes, as you said earlier, there are some connotations there. People don't like the idea of getting counseling, but counseling actually helps persons to gain insights into what is happening with them. A lot of persons come for counseling, they know they're experiencing these symptoms, but they don't know what is happening. So someone might be bullied and the person is depressed, but the person don't realize that they're depressed, right? But with counseling, it helps to raise awareness. It helps to bring a sense of awareness to that person who's experiencing the challenge. Counseling also involves that psychological support where you feel validated as a person. Counseling can help to affirm you. Counseling can equip you, the client, with the coping skills, and techniques and strategies that you can also use outside of the counseling session.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you heard it all here on Sip and Chat. If you're out there and you have an issue, or you know someone being bullied, there is help. Don't try to do it by yourself. There is professional help, right? And I want to thank you so much today, Nordia, for coming and talking to us about this. We're showing some stats as well in terms of how many persons today are affected locally as well as internationally re-bullying. So we know it's a major issue. So thank you so very much. All the best with your books. I'm sure another 2 or 3 is coming out. So thank you so very much.
Yes.
Until next time, we will continue to sip and chat.